But I got the laughter. I missed the glugging. I'm very disappointed. Oh, I've got one more thing. There we go. Right. There we go.
We can put it in post.
Glug, glug, glug. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Boys from the Baltic Star, the Easter special. You haven't got an Easter egg hunt, have you, today, Ben?
I wouldn't want to give away anything.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, anyway, we may or may not have something Eastery, who knows? Even if we don't, I'm looking forward to it. My name's Luke. I'm in the bottom right-hand corner. I've now got the longest beard because Ewan has had a trim. Hair as well, looking very smart.
It's true, and mine grows out rather than down.
so the beard balance has changed a little bit this week. So that is Ewan, as always, looking like he's about to pwn some noobs in Fortnite with his headphones. And Ben, we're not going to praise him this week, are we, Ewan? We said we butted him up too much last week.
Yeah.
This is Ben. He's the referee, and that's it. Join us on Twitter at @BoysBaltic. If you want to catch up on videos that don't appear to be on Twitch or whatever, same on YouTube now. Without further ado, over to the referee.
Why, thank you. So, the story so far. For the second time in just 3 planets, I think, the boys from the Baltic Star arrived at a planet, saw the sights, met some people, murdered some people, overthrew the government, and left in a bit of a rush. Osin will hopefully never know the identities of the small band of travelling sociopaths that left such a mark on it. Our travellers then reminded Stanley Strife that they were owed some recompense for their efforts and their rather exclusive skill set. There can't be that many such small outfits that are in the serial coup d'etat game. Leaving Osin, and not actually pursued, as far as we know, they jumped to Giikur. Now, this is a very different world. Where Osin was a barren little rock, Giikur is covered in water and a handful of islands. And because of the atmospheric density here, life can only exist at several thousand meters up. And they visited the capital city, Selville, with its 7 peaks sliced off at the 3,000 meter altitude. And there they dropped off, to get their story started on Giikur, they dropped off Seva, a man of proven violence, into the tourist paradise that is Giikur, and then made contact with the Deep Night Corporation to sort of extend their greetings and make the connection that they picked up a few worlds ago. And that is where we resume the story, with 2 of the PCs still on the launch and having just dropped off Seva, and another 2 in approaching orbit on the Baltic Star, having just made a telephone call.
We have. So they know we're here.
Yes.
That's it. Schmidt's bugged, so that's good. So we put a bug on him to know if him and Seva are communicating at all. Well, yes. And we know that, what do we know? Explosives and hidden weapons are not okay, which is very disappointing.
Indeed. Yeah. Yes, they're not wild about explosives, body pistols, things that, might be trying to evade detection.
But flamethrowers are fine.
That's it.
I think
you can't hide one of those.
I think they would
just be walking around.
Yeah, I think they would class that as potentially explosive.
I suppose. I suppose.
Especially in the hands of someone with relatively low heavy weapon skill.
Yeah, that's fair.
It could blow at any second.
It's a very fair comment. But essentially, it's open carry.
Pretty much, yes. And they don't have problems with long arms, side arms, pretty much anything you're likely to want to bring for most purposes. And can I just say, Ewan, every time I see you, you look slightly more like that anonymous mask the Guido Fawkes mask.
He's
I'm going
prepared.
for the Pringles, the man on the Pringles can look.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So you're moving from like anarchist to peak capitalist. Then that's the look you're moving to.
Well, you've got to be part of the system to tear it down. You can't have a coup without some involvement.
Right.
Everyone starts trusting you, and then you're like, "Aha! Look!" and like brush out your centre parting or something. You're like, I was against you all along.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you guys want to do? At the moment, you've got two people basically down skimming the surface of the planet, and two of your PCs are up in orbit.
Business or pleasure, Ewan?
Who's asking? Or who are you asking?
Oh yeah, Kara.
More
Well,
specific.
Kara will come back from. So Kara placed the bug, and Agnar contacted Deep Night. I guess so. Kara will wander back into, sort of knock on Agnar's door, sort of let herself in immediately, checking it's not locked first. Looks at him as he sort of put the comms down and says, "Right, looks like we've got the world literally at our feet. I want to do some trading at some point. I know we've got to talk to Deep Night at some point. Bit of shopping, always a pleasure, never a chore. Anything you particularly want to do?"
Agnar will say, I mean, it would be a shame not to see the sights of what looks like a very interesting planet. Obviously, we've got Deep Night, and as you say, trading. There's a lot of things to do. I want to go to Earth Park. Not straight away, but it's while we're here. Do you know where the best? Can you search on your computer where the best place to do some trading would be?
That is good. Yeah.
Is there anything that we can knock off with, in the same locale?
That is good. That was something Carl was just thinking about actually, was because part of my trading is I can spend time or set up my computer's agent to start checking for potential trading partners, can't I? Then it just takes a bit of time. So the nice thing would be, I reckon, I agree. Let's definitely get down to the planet, the general. But then the question is, we don't want to take the big ship down because that's more expensive. So we probably want to leave the Baltic Star in orbit, wait for the other two to get up, because a smaller ship, I'm guessing, will be a lot cheaper to moor down there than taking the Baltic Star down. And it would mean I have to change the graphic.
More importantly,
from in orbit, I might have just like a running credit total increasing for how much our costs are for just being landed.
Can we refuel in orbit? The Star?
You can refuel at the starport in orbit.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you actually remember this, but the Deep Night Corporation has promised to pick up the fee if you refuel.
Oh yes,
that is true.
That is true.
So it wouldn't cost you anything to refuel there. So
do we dock at the spaceport? See who wants to come to ask around, see who wants to come to the surface with us, and when Soraya and Stefan get back up, us four, whoever else wants to pile in comes down.
Figure out what we want to do.
Yeah, all get to Elia, and then I guess Kara will start scanning for her thing, and we'll see if all of us go together or if only a couple of us go, or let's start on that first. I think. Yeah.
Am I right in thinking, Ben, that Venti is where Deep Night said that they were?
Yes.
Okay.
Venti is where the Deep Night Corporation has its headquarters.
Yeah. Perfect. Also, I'd just like to point out to anyone watching that is a brilliant referee, reminding us that we had free fuel when, I mean, Luke might have remembered, but quite frankly, I would not have done.
Well, it seems
I was
only
hoping.
sporting, because otherwise you'd have ended up, trying to haggle the price or something.
I do love free
for
things.
someone else's benefit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds like a good plan, Luke.
Cool.
Yes, I thought you might have forgotten. It was like 3 worlds ago you made that deal.
That is true, actually. Oh yeah, that was a while back. That was just
It
after all
was.
the goo, so we were a bit shaken, I think, at the time.
Yes, all the goo. Definitely the right way of putting
and
that.
the mine-penetrating carvings and various other issues.
So Cara will say to Agnar, "Do you want to go and check if anyone wants to come down to the let Richard know that we're more at the spaceport if he's happy with that, the starport, and see if anyone else wants to come. I'll get in touch with the other two, tell them the plan, and sort of come back up, and we'll all head down."
Okay. The starport does run a shuttle service down to
even better.
Elia, so you don't actually have to bring the launch back up. You can dock at the starport and then just catch the shuttle down.
Oh, even cheaper. There we go. Get on the old the bus. Yeah, should we do that? Should we get on the bus?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Sounds like a good idea.
Do we need like a multi-pass? Do we need like a multi-pass or something?
Multi-pass.
Selva multi-pass. Okay, cool.
Fair enough.
So I'll do Cara's first, because I guess that's the quick one, in that she'll just message to Soraya and Stefan and say, hey, we're deciding we're going to come down to the city. We'll get to Elia. We've got a few things we'll do, so we'll sort of make up our mind when our feet are on the ground.
Okay.
If you want to come up, Soraya, if you want to bring the shuttle up, dock it, we're going to park up at the starport, and we'll grab the bus down and see where we're at.
Okay. All right. I've just rolled for Richard's docking, which was very easily good enough. He brings it in elegantly. The starport consists of essentially 3 rings, which are sort of stacked on top of each other. And the reason they're rings is so that things docked on the outside have more space, because they're coming out at angles to separate them. And the center of these rings contains a sort of vertical tube system with docking points for the much smaller shuttles that take people up and down to the surface of the planet. So who is going on to the starport and who is remaining on the ship?
Do we need somebody on the ship to refuel it?
You will need to leave bridge crew on the ship, yes, but it could be any qualified member of the bridge crew.
Okay.
Routinely, you would probably leave your engineer, Rachel Axis, and Richard, your captain.
Okay. Should we confirm that with the captain and just make sure neither of them want to go down? And if there's anyone that wants to stay, obviously they can stay. But if there's anyone that wants to,
well, there's the second. We've got the second engineer if need be. If Rachel really wants to go, I'm sure the two of them will sort it out between themselves. So yeah, check it out.
Okay. They reserve the right to maybe take a tourist trip down to see Earth Park and spend half a day there at some point, but they're not in any tearing hurry.
Okay.
So Rachel and Richard happy to stay. Nice.
Yeah, they can always be spelled, as you rightly say, by somebody else once refueling's done. And if you're still messing around down there, they'll come down and spend a few hours at Earth Park.
Cool. Wonderful.
Okay. So I assume I'm right in saying that Cara and Agnar are both coming down.
Yeah. Cara would like to. She needs to get on the ground.
Are there any of the NPCs you actually want to bring?
Might be quite a nice bonding exercise for Sammy and Johnny.
Yeah, but I'm happy for them to not have to be with us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I reckon.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you want to pick a couple that we don't know so well and see if they want to hang out with us?
Yeah.
We've got looking at the manifest. It's a manifesto. See, politics is in my mind. We've got Kron, the second engineer. We've got Sutter, the medical officer. We've got grumpy old Rick Verlo, the biological scientist. And we've got Rose. That's the other crew that we've got up at the minute.
Oh, the biology. Rick might like a bit of Earth Park.
Yeah.
As grumpy as he is, that might,
True.
mellow him a little.
Yeah. And other than that, you do have Sammy, Johnny, Reggie, of course, who I assume
Reggie, of course.
You've got to decide what to do with, and Zoe Hathaway as well.
Oh, Zoe. Oh, big group. Do we just get the flag out? Someone can walk along with a little flag in front, and we'll go as a little tour.
Umbrella.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. It might be nice to get Rick down. We've not done too much with Rick. Does he want to come? Rick, do you want to come?
Oh yeah, sounds great.
Cool. Because Kara's coming, she'll turn to Rose and say, "Rose, do you want? You've been up here now for a few weeks. Do you want to come down and stretch your legs a bit?"
Yeah, I miss the sea.
Cool. Then you can come. So yeah. So Kara will grab Rose around, sort of elbow to elbow. Grab around the elbow and sort of take her off to go and grab what they want to get ready with. Cool. I guess everyone can come. It's just that I'm aware we don't want 14 people in our little group, I guess.
Well, I mean, bear in mind that people may come down and explore on their own anyway, unless you're literally ordering them to stay on the ship. But they'll do so on a pattern where they relieve each other on the bridge and so on.
Cool, fantastic.
Cool. So if we take those two,
the others can. The idea is those two will come with us if they're happy to come with us, and the others can, I guess, come and go as they want. With the idea that we'll message up to them if they want to hang out for a bit or. Yeah, with some sort of.
Yeah, I mean, Rick's probably a good call. He's very interested in the biology of things, so I suspect he would find Earth Park absolutely fascinating.
Fantastic. There we go.
Can Agnar go to Rick, just as a little aside away from everyone else, and just say, while you're up here, and obviously as people are coming and going, just make sure that somebody's keeping an eye on Reggie at all times, please.
Sure. Yeah. You mean Richard, don't you? You're going to give the wink to, because he's going to be staying on board, yeah?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's no problem at all. He will do his best. I mean, you're stripping him of some of his crew, but there's a few others still dotted around, and he will say, remember that Reggie is not a member of the crew. He needs an eye kept on him.
And Agnar will say, you don't have to intervene, but just make sure that if he's messing with anything or if he's going anywhere that he shouldn't, we know about it.
Yep, got it. Yeah, he's got no business going to engineering or the bridge, for example, anyway. He should be staying in the passenger spaces.
Yeah, perfect.
Carl will say to Richard, is there anything in particular you want me to grab today while I'm down there? Or are you okay? You cool?
No, I mean, any freebies that Deep Night are offering would be nice.
Deep Night freebies. We love
T-shirts.
Like t-shirt, baseball cap, a puppy vest.
Merch. Get me some merch.
We'll bring you back some 3D glasses from the the video experience.
A bag of leaflets and an 5% off an augmentation. There you go.
Quite right. Yeah, that's what you need. Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. So your little gang of 4 for the time being. Rose, Rick, and your 2 NPCs head through the airlock and into the orbital station. It's fair to say you've seen a few space stations now. This one is among the most disappointing you've ever visited. It's not, poorly maintained. It's not particularly unclean or anything like that. It's just there's nothing really here. It's just about enough to get a coffee. Other than that, you just literally walk across the ring, the sort of the width of the ring that you docked on, and at the other side there's a walkway that takes you to the central hub for the shuttles. And when you get there, there's a coffee shop and various clocks counting down the next arrival of the next shuttle, basically. It is completely covered in pictures and adverts for the actual surface of the planet, the city of Sellville, and inevitably Earth Park. There is a very strong vibe that, as far as the great and the good of Giikur are concerned, every single second you spend on this space station is a second you couldn't be buying things or doing things on the planet. And they don't want to give you any excuse to not be down on the surface.
Sure.
They have very clearly designed it so that it is literally a transport hub. It has all the joy of a Manhattan metro station.
I was about to say it's like the walkway between King's Cross and St Pancras, basically. It's to get from one place to the other, is it?
It is exactly that.
One for our London listeners.
It is very much lacking what you would call charm. As I say, it's perfectly functional, but the function is to funnel you down to the planet's surface.
Yeah.
Good function. As we go, Cara would like to turn to Rose and say, Rose, have you got any protection with you?
Rose looks, sort of pats her little pouch and says, sure, always.
Cool. Cara nods. Good. Glad to hear it.
And they're ribbed.
So, in which case, and Cara reaches into sort of her larger pockets on her trousers and pulls out the little stunner, like the self-defense stunner, I guess.
Yep.
This is, look, just take this. Just in case, in case it gets crowded, we should all have something at least.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
She looks at it. If she's not completely convinced she knows what to do with it, but she carefully puts it in her pouch and, gives you a thumbs up. Okay.
Cool.
Agnar will he'll sling his shotgun over his back and he'll just shout out to everybody. Does anyone coffee? Anyone want a coffee? And he'll do that, friendly management approach of I'm buying. Who wants something? Let's all be buddies.
Fair enough. Does anyone want a coffee? The NPCs they've had coffee on the ship, or they're literally just walking out of their front door as far as they're concerned. It's where they live. They are 30 seconds out of their front door and they don't yet need a coffee.
Perfectly fine.
Cara looks at a nearby large map of Sellville on the wall and says, I'll have a venti.
I see what you did there.
Well, I don't even like.
He'll run over and he'll grab a coffee.
It's the only thing I know about coffee in real life is there's a venti. That's all I know. I don't drink it. So.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. The coffees are delivered in what you would call a heartbeat. The machine is almost completely automated. The server is bored as hell. Relatively few people coming through actually want a coffee, but those that do, she's presumably being paid to make sure they don't have to wait. And you are charged an amount so trivial that we won't bother to keep track of it, as is often the case with basic drinks and things.
Okay, wonderful. Can you pick up if they got like little biscuits or snacky stuff? Just grab some of those for everyone.
No, I'm afraid literally what you can get is water and coffee.
Okay.
Those are the options. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Just
take it back to camera.
Just because you've got two different people, you're just trying to show off.
Yes. Okay. It is just 10 minutes or so before the next shuttle arrives and disgorges a group of pretty average looking people who wander off in their little groups, looking for the right hub exit to take them to the right part of the right ring, to get back towards their ships. It all seems rather lacking in drama at the moment. And that is your shuttle if you want to board it.
We will. Agnar will.
Right. Well,
Certainly.
it appears the whole place
Not
is set up to
around.
make us dock in the shuttle. So let's get on board. Let's head down.
Okay. It appears when you go inside that the shuttle is not completely automated. There is a cockpit at the front with presumably somebody flying it, but the open space of the shuttle is organized more like a marine landing ship. You know, it's not comfortable individual seats. It's kind of benches with straps on them to hold you in place. It's, as you rightly pointed out, it's little more than a bus. It just happens to be one that goes into orbit. And within a few moments, you sit there for about 5 minutes, with this being the 5 minutes that shuttle is waiting before the next one will be on its way. The doors shut after a few last people struggle in, and off the shuttle goes, accelerating quite rapidly in the wrong direction, away from the planet, and then turning over. And you can see through the windows the top of the shuttle, which is made up of windows, is oriented so that as you go down, it's always pointing down at the surface of the planet. So you can see this immensely deep blue ocean as you approach, directly above your heads, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It is you get the very strong feeling that everything is geared up to provide an experience to remember on the planet. They want you on the planet. It's not until you get really quite close to landing that that you get that very slight sense of gravity increase as the shuttle pulls up and gently swings over, and you see the sky above you a much paler blue, and within a few minutes the shuttle touches down on the peak of Elia. The shuttle port on Elia seems a pretty functional thing, but as soon as you get off, you notice a very distinct difference. Now they're much more keen for you to spend time there. The shuttle port, if you look at the map that's actually being shared with you, the shuttle port is also the mass transit terminal that's sort of just to the top right of the circle.
Yeah.
And it has a fast connection to the Earth Park terminal, which is the one to the far east of the peak. And the mass transit also obviously connects you to the mass transit system that takes you all the way around the loop of Sellville. So you're literally in the mass transit point, because almost all of Elia is just completely open and flat and used for landing ships and then storing them.
Is there like an information kiosk or something like that?
Oh God, yes. Yes, there is a dedicated ticket sales and information desk just for Earth Park, which is in the direction of the Earth Park terminal, and there is more generally a tourist information and visitor information desk as well.
Cara will grab Rose and drag her sort of almost with her ankles kicking along over to one of the main desks. I say, "Excuse me, my good sir. A lovely place you got here. Of course, Earth Park is the jewel in your crown, and me and my friends can't wait to go. If we were looking for an all-round experience, I guess, of what Sellville has to offer, we're big fans of things like street foods, little hippie shops, little back corners, crooked alleys, and that. Where would we go for something like that?"
The main town centre, if you will, is on the eastern side of Pito, on the shores of Lake Simmel. That's where you find our main cultural attractions, theatres, opera, the governmental buildings, the main libraries, things of that kind of nature. But just behind them and to the north and south, because that town centre is sort of on a bit of a peninsula that sticks out into the lake a bit.
Yeah. I can see
Just
that.
to the north and south of there are more eclectic districts, small shops, small restaurants and cafes, a bit more friendly and relaxed areas. The more west you go, the more it becomes purely residential. But even there, there are restaurants, there are cafes, there are parks. If you cross over the other side of Lake Simmel, the western shore of Lata is also a mixture of hotels, resorts, cafes, restaurants, taking advantage of the seafront, the actual waterfront there. And again, as soon as you step too far back from there, it becomes purely residential. So generally speaking, you would want to concentrate on the western strip of Lata, where it's mainly hotels and resorts and things of that nature. Because there you find quite a lot of casinos, nightclubs, things like that. Or staying on Pito itself, north and south of the town centre, you find commercial districts which serve more small scale, eclectic tastes, and there are a lot of good restaurants and bars and things like that. You'll also find hotels, of course, in both, but they're different kinds of hotels. The closer you are to the business district, the more they are intended for business purposes. The closer you get to the cultural attractions, the more expensive and substantial they become. And the closer you get to the sort of restaurants and cafes area, the more they are little boutique places.
Oh, sounds beautiful. It's a beautiful lake. Of course, we saw it as we were coming down, and all our praise to you guys for creating such a beautiful, I guess, man-made structure with nature. Is
Thank
there
you.
like is there? I'm sure you personally didn't, but you can take the praise. Is there something like a a ferry or a cruise or something that makes use of the lake, of an evening or something where you can have a nice time on that?
Yes, there is no ferry for purely transport purposes, because the southern edge of the lake is actually made up of one enormous giant artificial dam, and it's hollow, and the mass transit system runs inside it, between Pito and Lata. So there's no real need for a ferry across the lake to take you from one island to another. But hotels in particular on the lake shores of both sides offer tours day and night around the lake, particularly from the Lata side. They take tours and point out the items of interest on the shoreline of Pito, the major attractions, the major museums, the major government buildings, that kind of thing.
Cara will turn to Agnar with the sort of eyes glowing at sort of the idea of that, and say, "Look, can we make sure we get can we take a boat before we go back? Can we do a tour from Lata? What do you reckon? Do you reckon we can do
Not
that
take
one
a
evening?"
boat. You don't want to take a boat.
No, take
Can we,
one.
can we steal a boat?
Yeah,
And
go.
just...
Stefan's not with us. That's why I felt
Agnar will
safe
say, no,
asking.
that sounds like a wonderful idea. And he'll turn to the person at the desk and just say, is there any fishing on the lake? Do they run any touristy commercial fishing tours out of the
No, I'm afraid though we do have fish on the planet. We fish from the ocean, where the higher oxygen density means that the fish grow fast and big. Up here, if you put fish in the lake, you'd get quite small mountain stream type fish, which wouldn't be worth fishing. So for all of its attractiveness as a body of water and its utility, it is the main reservoir for the city. The lake is essentially barren. Nothing lives in it at all. It's also, very steep-sided, very cold, and not really fun for swimming. However, and I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, there is quite a nice beach in Earth Park where they've deliberately created a shallow area by cutting the design of the mountainside in a certain way to produce an actual beach that you can do water sports and swimming and things like that.
Oh, thank you. He'll turn to Kara and say, "Well, sounds like a cruise. It is. Perhaps a night cruise."
Yeah. Kara turns to Rose. Said you wanted water. How about should we see if we can book something for one evening?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Kara turns back to the desk and says, I think we're very interested in maybe booking some rooms on that sort of Larter side and making sort of for a couple of nights or something, and then making a deal, getting a night tour and that. Do you have any vouchers or money off, sort of a deal to make us pick a certain hotel over another, anything like that? A special deal?
For reasons to do with the local laws, we're not allowed to enter into any kind of commercial arrangement with any of the privately run hotels. We have to offer a completely independent service. However, there are flexibilities built into that, which mean that certain things that we can offer that aren't technically discounts, we are allowed to mention and include in the package. So, for example, let's assume just arbitrarily that what you were mainly interested in was a hotel on the shore of Larter where you could get a decent meal, have access to the waterfront, and which has its own pier and runs boat tours around the lake. That hotel might, for example, be the Coronet. And if I were to write down for you the details of the Coronet and sign it and put a little note about the boat tours, then I think you might find that when you booked your room, they would throw in the boat tours for free.
Kara winks at Agnar and says, "Should we do that? See how many people want to come down for maybe do like 2 evenings in a hotel there, like not tonight, but in a couple of nights' time. What do you think?"
Agnar will have a little think, and it sounds. Can you tell us more about the hotel? I mean, he's not the most smartest of our characters. He probably doesn't quite realise what's going on. He'll give him some small talk, and then he will agree that is probably a good idea.
The impression you get is that the Coronet is very much a tourist hotel. It offers a reasonable selection of services. It's reasonably sized, and they seem to have tried to make sure that the environment is very, very pleasant. They like the fact that they're a waterfront hotel. They like the fact that they can offer tours onto the lake. They take advantage of that. Whether or not it's technically, the best hotel in town is almost beside the point. It's a very aesthetic hotel. It's a nice. You'd walk towards it and think this looks like a nice place.
Yeah.
Kara says, "Aesthetics, Agnar. Aesthetics."
He looks down at what he's wearing and says, "Yes. Let's go for that."
Yes, clearly his area of expertise.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
Kara will say then, it's morning still, isn't it? We've got like this whole day and we've got a lot of time. Just as an aside, is Earth Park a day thing, or is it like Disney? Are there huts or something you can stay on there?
Earth Park doesn't have overnight accommodation at the actual park. They have their own hotel, which is on Kuala.
Okay.
But that is very much intended for people who are coming and then going straight to Earth Park. It is right by the main Kuala transit station, and actually has its own private connection into it. And the intent is that people who stay there don't waste too much time seeing the sights of Sellville, but really go straight to Earth Park every morning and return every evening, if you see what I mean.
Well, what if we're thinking about Earth Park anyway, what if we almost do pleasure then before the deep night business, because they might want to drag us off somewhere? What if we do a night on Kuala, so we've got like 2 potential days at Earth Park, and then we book a couple of nights at Lata, which is where we'll do, on one night we'll do a cruise, another time we'll do some Pito and Lata kind of stuff, and just, does that sound reasonable, Agnar?
We could do a nice little round the horn.
Yeah.
Ridge walk between each, or take the transit between each stop.
Cover rolls her eyes at Ridge walk. Behave. All right, military man.
We could stop off at. We start at Kuala.
Yeah.
And each evening we could find out about the next location on the way round and see if we want to stop there. And if we don't, we'll just go straight through to the next one.
Cool.
Perhaps.
Cool. So yes, that's good. So Cara will say that we really want a couple of nights at last. We don't know quite what nights yet. Then, if we do a night at Kuala, so day 1 and day 2 could be Earth Park theoretically. Maybe something in the middle. A couple of nights at Lata, and then you'll work around the horn with Venti, which is the head office of Deep Night, right?
Yeah.
So we finished the night. Yeah, I like the sound of that. So Cara will say, is that possible? Could you put a word in for us? We're definitely looking to spend a couple of nights later. But of course, like most people here, we'll be looking for Kuala for our first night.
Absolutely. I can book you a night tonight in the Earth Park Hotel on Kuala. And I will give you the relevant information for the coronet, including my contact details.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Whilst this is going on, Agnar will just be messaging the other two if we haven't met up already, and just saying we're here.
Okay. Well, in fact, this might be a good time to quickly flick to the other two, who are the last we left. They're actually about, whatever that is, 1,500 meters or so to the north of you. Couple of kilometers north, hovering over the entrance to the transit tunnel that cuts through the ridge line between Elia and Kuala, watching a slightly wounded Sever slough his way into the tunnel. And we haven't revisited them since then. So now might be a good time to catch up with where they are and what they're doing.
Perfect.
So I will go, Stefan, answer him. I'm busy. I'm already getting grief for nearly dropping Sever off. Like...
he'll shout to. I mean, I assume by this point we've got the message that there is a shuttle down.
Yes.
So we can go back up if we want, and he'll relay this to
yes,
Sarai.
essentially, you can either bring your launch to Elia, land it at the landing pad, and then move it to a suitable place on Elia, or you can return up to the Baltic Star and then catch the shuttle back down again. Either way would make sense.
Can he do a little quick search and just find out what the costs to be to dock at Elia would be?
Yes. 1 second. Okay, for your launch, the prices are 120 credits for 24 hours.
I think we trusted. That's it. Oh man, let's get this bad boy down. I don't want to have to head back up to that dreary
24
place.
hours.
It's nearly as cheap as Canterbury.
I mean, that's fine if you want to, if we run out of credits and you have to miss a day on Earth Park, taking the shuttle back up to the ship and coming back down, don't blame me.
Yeah,
How much is it?
the thing you have to bear in mind is the reason for that price is that they charge by the ton. So it's effectively whatever that works out at 6 credits per ton per day.
Okay. So for a shuttle, that's okay. If you're trying to land the Italia,
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
that just splob over the whole map. Bloop.
Yeah.
Okay. So how much is it for the first 24?
120 credits per day, basically.
Let's run that off the Baltic Inc. We've got 45,000 credits on Baltic Inc. 100. How much? 125 credits a day.
120 credits per day.
Day docking. Okay. Yeah. So I'll say, look, we've got our weapons in the ship. We've got our gears. Is there any reason you want to go up, Stefan?
No. I don't. No. Frankly, there isn't.
In which case, let's go relax. What could go wrong?
Okay, so you're going to land at the docking platform at Elia.
Yeah.
So, Soraya.
Oh,
you know what I'm going to say?
That is the point, though. I've got to roll docking. Oh. They spent 20 minutes in my pocket. I've kept them in my hand regardless. 50 minutes in. Let's see what we can do. Come on.
Everybody on Elia dies in a horrific explosion.
Double one. No, we're okay, I think. I've hit an 8 early on. A nice, good number there.
Okay. And you can add your bonuses to that, remember?
Oh, that's true. 9 then.
Okay. Yes, it's a completely uneventful, if not particularly elegant landing. And on landing, the automated systems direct you to gently move the launch to the relevant parking spot. It's little more than a big open car park once you're down. Because it's a big open car park, you have to get out and walk across the surface in order to get to the terminal building. But remember, this is breathable atmosphere, so you don't even need to worry about spacesuits or vac suits of any kind.
Wonderful. Oh, we keep a note of the area that we're parked in.
Yeah, everyone remember where you are.
Yeah. What's it?
Red squirrel or something.
Yeah. H7 red. Got it.
Yeah. We'll write it down so make a note on our device.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Yes. Everyone remember we're in car park C.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So are the two S's coming to join the others in the terminal building for onward travel?
Might as well. It looks like
yeah,
we're
I think
heading off.
Stefan will probably ask, is there anything you want to do before we meet up with everybody?
Is there like
any governments you'd like to overthrow?
I was going to say, well, we're there. Does there appear to be any sort of crew around, any bits and pieces, people like Sellville employed ship tinkerers?
There are a fair number of people milling about in the sort of car park area, people returning to their ships or leaving them, or in some cases probably just visiting them to drop off something or collect something that they might need. There aren't seemingly many employees there, at least not identifiably in uniform or anything.
Are there any visitors that look slightly suspicious? Like that might have been there for more than just Earth Park. Do you know, like slightly drab looking, slightly like business like sort of. I don't want to say smuggler, but I mean, like bit tradery, bit kind of.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I'm glad you do. I wish I knew a quicker way of saying it.
Yeah, roll a survival check.
Survival? Oh no! She just walks up to someone and pokes them. Excuse me. Okay, I'm hitting 8s in different ways today. 8 plus 0 is 8.
Okay. You don't notice anyone particularly unusual. I mean, I hesitate to mention it. There is a guy wearing gardening gloves.
We'll stay away from it. Sorry, eases Stefan towards the. Come on. All right.
But fundamentally, the reality is you don't seem to have much in the way of unusual people standing out. There are family groups, there are individuals who may well be on business, there are people who are quite clearly not lost, but looking around them, slightly confused as to where to go next. And there are people who must have been through here more than once before and just hop out without even glancing about, just know exactly which way to go.
Yeah.
It's a fairly usual mix for a public place that people travel through.
Okay, fair enough. She'll go. She'll leave another day. She was going to look for a way of finding, I guess, like ship bits, if that makes sense. Little bits and pieces that might be of use. I'll leave that. That's something that we could probably look at if we reach a seedy underbelly anywhere in the coming days.
Right.
So
well, I mean, to be fair, one thing she will notice is flights in and out of the ridge port. If she's looking for things that are going on that might include technical stuff.
Yeah.
So the eastern little square on Elia is the ridge port.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a whole series of even in the few minutes that it takes you to sort of meander about and pay attention to what's going on, you see the arrival or departure of 3 or 4 of the dirigibles. Because the Earth Park port is airship served.
Yes, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Like I say, I'm a bit worried that some sort of grand old one is going to grab us from the depths when we get on it, but apart from that...
Respect your elders.
Respect your elders.
Yeah. That should be a t-shirt.
Sarai just wants to run over quickly and just try and grab someone that's doing something that looks a bit greasy, basically, and say that, and she just wants to say that I'm planning to keep this ship here for a few days, but I want some, some greasy bits and pieces. Where would you say the best place to go to get replacements, some spares, some this and that?
I say, as far as she can see, there isn't anyone who looks like they're working on the ships at all.
In which case, she'll shrug and she'll turn to Stefan and say, "Come on, then, let's go see these big animals."
Does Stefan get the impression that his laser sniper rifle would be okay on the world?
There's no
prohibition
for such things.
Wonderful.
I mean, the only thing I would say is it might stand out a bit because it's quite long and bulky.
But that's kind of what they want, isn't it? They don't want concealable weapons. They want something that's obvious.
Absolutely. From a legal standpoint, there's no issue. The only question is whether more general interactions with everyday people in public might be a bit more strained because of the sheer size and ostentation of it.
He will leave all of his weapons on the ship.
Oh wow!
Aside from his arm.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can't leave your arm on the ship.
So, we can always come back. We don't know whether the same restrictions apply inside of Earth Park.
I think.
We're coming back through here to get to the hotel, so.
I know what you mean. It might affect how people think of us. As we're looking at some honey badgers and their little girl tugs on their dad's shoulder and goes, "Daddy, why has that man got an absolutely enormous sniper rifle slung over his back?"
A long distance gardener killing.
To be fair, if you're standing near a honey badger, the sniping rifle is not the most dangerous thing there.
Exactly.
Certainly Stefan isn't. He'll leave everything on the ship and he will continue onwards. Was that you were asking, weren't you? I guess we go meet up with everybody.
In which case, I guess Sarai has to dump her plastic explosive and her smoke in the ship, and she thinks about it, and she'll keep her Gauss pistol, her laser pistol, but leave her carbine and rifle, especially if we're going. On some sightseeing, she'll just go for pistols in the holsters and leave the big guns behind.
Cool. Okay. And bear in mind, you're still going to be wearing your various armored outfits and what have you, unless you're going out somewhere socializing in the evening, I imagine. So, so you'll still have some form of protection from anything bad that happens.
Even
Yes.
even honey badgers. How is vac suits against honey badgers? How are they?
Actually, I had to look that up.
Don't anchor the honey badgers.
I mean, the
Turns out
claws.
that in the rules, honey badgers do 112 d6 damage,
See, I'm not surprised. I think they're underpowered, if anything.
and that's before they bite you. That's just looking at you.
Just look at it. Just the fear of God they put into you when they start moving towards you.
I mean, they are all psionics as well, aren't they?
They are all powerful psionics,
Yeah.
and they can fly. So, basically,
Nearly as dangerous as drop bears.
very nearly as dangerous as drop bears. Yes, yes. So you may get unlucky. There may even be drop bears in the park. You never know.
No.
We've got to get some of those honey badger eggs for our incubator.
Yes, for our incubators.
They definitely lay eggs.
A little,
Yes, honey badger
eggs. A little army of hatched honey badgers. Okay, cool. I'm up for that.
Yes, Marabunta army badgers.
So I guess on that note, as those two head over with the thought of honey badgers in their head, I guess it's break time.
Yes, I think we are essentially at the point of the break, aren't we? Yes, brilliant.
Oh, indeed.
Cool. Right, let's take 5 minutes. Anyone watching, we're going away for 5 minutes to grab a drink, go to the loo. So we recommend you do the same, and we shall be back very shortly.
Badger TPK. Make sure you come back.
Pretty much.
Just responding to your...
That is all of us back. What a lovely break it was. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. As tradition dictates, halfway through our session, we pause and we raise a glass and we toast a fallen NPC comrade, Greyhill Bast. He would have loved this planet. He would have been in his elements, moving around. He'd have loved the little shops I hope we go into, little back streets, dinner down by the water, Earth Park. He'd loved it. If he hadn't been killed so viciously on a pointless mission, he would have still been here to enjoy it with us. So it's with a somber touch to my happy mood tonight that I've raised the glass, as is my job at the moment. I'm going to try and get rid of that on this journey. I'm going to try and win a bet so that I don't have to do it anymore.
More bets.
Yeah. And I think we should raise a glass and toast the late, great Greyhill Bast.
Greyhill Bast.
To Greyhill Bast. I mean, it might work out better for him that he died horribly on another planet rather than having to face the honey badgers here.
The honey badgers.
Frankly, is going to be horrific. War crimes, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are laughing about the honey badgers, but once you meet them,
I let the dice call. I shouldn't let them call around the badgers of honey. Right.
Okay. So in essence, you are all assembling together your group of 6 with the 2 NPCs in the main transit terminal by the downport. So what you have to decide, I suppose, is which way you're going, because Elia is rather lacking in genuine excitement in itself, you understand.
Yeah.
So are we going straight to Earth Park? Are we going to look at the hotel first? Yeah, let's get on the
We're booked into the hotel, aren't we? I guess. Yeah. Has anybody got anything they need to drop off? Maybe Agnar will lose the shotgun. Can he just run out to leave it in the ship? It's closer, I'm guessing, than going into
absolutely.
the hotel.
I mean, it will be at most a 10-minute round trip. Yes.
Yeah. So he'll run out and he'll leave the shotgun.
Yes, I mean it's the launch is a few hundred meters away. It isn't a long journey.
Oh, he'll find out which car park they parked in first, obviously.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's
everyone remember where we parked.
Lots of launches that look just like ours.
H7 red.
Did you tie anything to the antenna?
It's not my tent at Glastonbury. Come on.
He'll go and do that.
I don't even want to know what you guys would tie to the antenna. Yeah, it would be a legend in itself, I'm sure. Yes, you're right. These launches do look a lot alike from a distance, though obviously yours has the words Baltic Star painted down the side of it. So
yeah. And when you press the keys, the lights flash as you unlock it.
And play La Cucaracha.
So you know which is yours. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, because it's a classy launch. This one.
We've got a honey badger tail tied to the antenna, just to upset them.
Just to anger them.
Just to anger them. Yeah. Right. Cool. So everyone's just got handguns at most. Then I guess Cara will keep her laser pistol, her gauntlet laser, but the backpack is visible, so she's not hiding it. It's just so she can have a hand free if need be. And
okay.
Yeah. So perfect. Happy days.
Good. Okay. Right. The journey to the few hundred meters, couple of hundred meters to the Ridgeport, which is here called Earth Park Terminal, is on a tube-based moving walkway. It's very much designed to make it as comfortable, as easy, and most importantly, as fast as possible to get you set off on your journey. And at the other end, you emerge into a fairly bustling terminal building, filled with excitable families and enthusiastic tourists, and plenty of businessmen travelling to Giikur who are taking in Earth Park for the day. A lot of the people there also seem to be locals who use it as an urban park almost for them.
Oh,
Indeed, there are various places there where you can buy your tickets to Earth Park.
all right. Kara will wander over
Agnar
to.
will
What's
count
he
up
do?
heads.
Oh, count the heads. Oh, we got 6. Don't forget 6.
Everybody's going in, aren't they? Of course.
Get a deal, Agnar. There's 6 of us for
And
2
he'll-
days. See what we can do.
He'll saunter up and he'll say, "Good day, my fine whoever the person is,
Yes.
gentleman, lady." Assuming it's not automated. And he'll scroll down. Do they have like a price list of tickets?
They do have a price list, but it's not what you'd call complicated. The price for Earth Park is 100 credits to cover you for the day, or you can buy an annual pass for 1,000.
Oh,
It's tempting.
let me just check Agnar's finances.
Don't tempt Agnar. He might move in.
Did you say there's 7? There's 6 of us.
6 of us.
6, yeah.
It's going to be
That works
1,200
out.
for the 2 days.
Absolutely wonderful. Agnar will say, "I'm very interested in your annual passes.
Oh.
Do
We're
they
coming back. We're coming back. Oh, I'm quite excited. I'm quite excited, actually. This is.
include the stay in the hotel as well, and the all the shuttle services and the bells and whistles?
The shuttle services are completely free to anybody with a ticket,
So it
but
does include those.
but the hotel, I'm afraid, is extra.
I see.
Mhm.
And I don't suppose you have any deals, buy 5 get 1 free on the annual passes or any?
Or family pass. Cara and Chris's rows down. They sort of look small. We're still we're only like 14.
You can roll a persuade if you'd like, with your social and persuade,
Well, social helps.
because you might be able to charm the person.
That is a 6 minus 1 is a 5.
5. No, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, you should tell somebody about that, because that would, certainly I feel it encourage more sales. I'm really trying to make a good impression on the crew for our ship. I will take 6 annual passes to Earth Park, please.
Oh, good man.
Okay, that'll be 6,000 credits.
Wonderful. He'll mark that off. It helps that it brings him down to around 190,000.
Oh, I see.
Plus
That's
a little
why.
bit of change, but it knocks off the thousands at least. So there's nothing I feel he wouldn't be able to afford that he would have been able to afford before.
Yeah, I mean it's pricey for a theme park, if you see what I mean, but it's not insane money.
Especially 2 visits.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, unless we set up some good trading, Luke.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, we could trade in Earth Park goods.
He'll are they paper tickets? Do we get them on like a?
They are the relevant credentials are transferred onto your personal electronic devices.
Wonderful. He'll show everybody up to the, yeah, make sure they all get their passes.
Yes. Rick and Rose are both very enthusiastic and grateful.
And then he'll say, "Well, thank you very much for all of your help to the person at the kiosk. I'm sure we will see you again within the next year."
We better.
Yes,
Oh,
or we'll be back
good.
demanding refunds.
We didn't use our full amount.
Okay.
Is Cara wants to look around. Is there the area we're in? They're not look around. Look around. Is there like a merchandise big shop or little stall selling absolute tat? I'm looking for
Yes.
the cheapest tat. Oh, it's even better. He's gone.
It's a slightly more high quality experience than that.
Okay.
The goods are not complete tat.
Okay.
However, within the smart kind of gifts that you can buy, which contain various Earth Park logos and things of that nature, but are fundamentally quite nice gifts and mementos, there are tucked away in there also really cheap crap as well. Yes.
Are there what sort of clothing / accessory things are there? Is there any t-shirts, hats, like bad sunglasses, like like plastic bow ties, little bows for your head or something? What sort of stuff?
It would be mostly clothing items, and particularly what you would call holiday wear. So t-shirts, caps, shorts, that kind of thing.
Cara is going to.
And swimming costumes, of course.
Oh, of course. Cara is going to buy. Are they multiple colours? I'm assuming.
Yes, quite a wide selection.
I want to get more for the crew of the ship when we get back, because I think it's going to be very important. But for now, I'd like to get 6 t-shirts in all colours of the rainbow, quite frankly. 6 caps in all colours of the rainbow. How much will that cost me?
That will be that'll come to around about 200 credits.
Cool. Kyra hands that over. She's not even a barter. Bargain for what I want. Grabs the stuff gleefully, scampers back, and the first thing she does is thrusts the bright red cap and t-shirt into Agnar's chest and say, "Thank you so much. I bought you a gift as the man who bought the tickets. I think it's only right. You look excited. You need to look the part. You lead. We'll follow you." Sort of pass some stuff. Come on, let's enjoy ourselves.
Oh, wonderful! He'll put on his hats and his t-shirt. Does it have like little ear holes for Margaret ears at the top?
You can select one that is designed for a Varga head. Yes.
Varga head hat.
Wonderful.
Lovely.
Wonderful. He will adorn those. I'm assuming the combat armor will have to come off to get full effect.
Just tie it around
the top half.
Tie it around your waist.
I'm not sure how the armor entirely comes together.
I bought you an extra large, so you can kind of wear it over.
Just go over
you know, like when the honey monster wears something, you're gonna look like the honey monster with a t-shirt on. That's the plan.
Yeah. I'm sure you can remove the helmet so you can put the cap on. The t-shirt might be a bit stretched.
Cara's going to bounce around the group, putting a cap on each other person's head. I don't know if they keep them on, but Sarah will keep hers because she finds it quite funny. And yeah, come on, let's go.
Okay, all right. You make your way out to the departure gate, and out there are a little line of mooring points for dirigibles, some of which are filled, and there are various interactive signs that tell you which one to get on. The next one to go is this one, and point you with enthusiastic green and blue Earth Park branding towards the one that's about to depart. The actual dirigibles themselves are completely blue in color with green Earth Park lettering on them, and sort of swirling green shapes. It's very much branded to look a little bit like the world of Giikur, but kind of making Earth Park a bit more prominent, if you know what I mean. And everything about it screams a sort of tourist operation. This is very much an operation for the people to come and get sucked into the vibe of Earth Park. Every part of it is, and you get inside the dirigible. Dirigibles are able to lift quite a lot of weight on Giikur, and sure enough, this one can. It's quite a substantial one, about 50 meters long from nose to tail. Even though the gondola underneath is considerably shorter than that, it can still carry the best part of 100 people. And unlike a sort of shuttle from orbit, here the seats are just benches and they all face windows and views out. So the center of the gondola has just a central line of benches all facing windows on each side. So you can settle in wherever you like. And it's only a few minutes after you settle down that there's that sort of subtle bump as the moorings are released, and very, very smoothly. It's a very gentle feeling, this lighter than aircraft just gently lifting off and then applying the power to its electric motors, which are also very quiet and very efficient. And suddenly you are drifting, and then there's a slight sense of more purpose in it, and it starts to get faster and faster as it makes its journey towards Earth Park itself. The journey takes about 10 minutes or so, and that would imply that the gap between Earth Park and the city is, only 20 kilometers, perhaps, that kind of distance. We're not talking a huge journey, though it would be quite a long way to run a metro system between them. So you can see why they've put in a more lightweight approach. It also, of course, isn't directly on the same ridge line. So you'd have to build enormous 3,000 meter high viaducts kind of thing to carry the trains across. The dirigibles don't ride significantly higher than the city, maybe to 4,000 or 3,500 meters, but nonetheless, as you approach and look out both sides, you are looking down on the entirety of Earth Park, so you can actually see the layout of the park itself below you. And in essence, to the west, the western part of it is a one sort of large peak, and then it appears to be connected by, in essence, a cable car system to what looks like it could almost be a volcanic crater, where one side of it is made up of one enormous sort of crescent-shaped peak, and on the other side of it there are three smaller peak areas leveled off. In that whole complex over there, connecting them together, there are a series of these impressive dams that drop down a certain distance, and so the entirety of that surrounds one enormous lake, which is substantially larger than the lake for the city of Sellville. It's a bigger body of water. The route in takes you sort of over and skimming what appears to be a very heavily forested peak, and lands you at a terminal on the northeast corner of the peak itself. And as soon as the automated doors open, you get this intensely strong smell of wood and flowers and nature, essentially. And you are essentially on one edge of the area that they refer to in their program as the fragrant forest.
Oh.
Ah. Does it seem natural, or is this ridiculously overpowering? Like they're pumping it out into the place. Like you know the wooden cabins at like Disneyland hotels where they're blatantly not made of wood, but it smells of wood.
Okay. Yeah, roll a survival check for me, please.
Oh. Don't breathe too
With
heavily.
intellect.
Wow, that'll be a straight roll. Oh, but it is a 10.
Oh,
okay. You can't be certain because there is a certain artificiality to this, and obviously the entire plateau is artificially created. But you get the feeling that it may be natural insofar as they have deliberately chosen plants that have a strong and pleasant aroma.
Okay, cool.
I know lockdown has been long, but I'm buzzing right now. Honestly, you were describing it, and I was just like, oh, that sounds so beautiful. Oh, a year in lockdown can do funny things. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it messes with the brain, doesn't it?
I was feeling that. It's like all my favourite holidays come together. Oh, I'm probably feeling the same way that Rose is feeling, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Rose is frankly excited as she sort of steps out of the airship. I mean, I think she was quite excited to step into the airship. That was quite fun for her. But stepping out of it, she's almost giddy. Yes.
And to be fair, we probably take her out as often as lockdown has permitted us to go out. So
yes.
Probably a very good equivalent.
Right. For those on the side, for those watching, Rose was a prostitute on Brightsea. On one of the there's a lot of mining corporations on Brightsea, and they have platforms, and the miners have a few women down who stay there for a few months at a time, I guess, and do what they do, I guess, with the guys that are there. And when we were down there, Cara kind of paid a few off and then threatened the woman that was running it and got Rose up to away from there. So, but she's been on the ship with us most of the rest of the time, though. We've not really taken her anywhere, have we?
No.
She met Zoe, but that was kind of it. And so, yeah. So it's her first time in nature for, well, as far as we know, I guess. So,
on a different planet in a while,
definitely.
I would imagine.
Yeah. And Rick is a biological scientist, so he's buzzing as well, I'd imagine. So
yeah, I mean, he's less obviously giddy, but he's enthusiastic. There's a certain, lean to his shoulders, like he wants to get in there and walk through a forest.
Oh, don't we all, Rick? Don't we all? Can we hug a tree? Is there any trees nearby?
When you step out, essentially immediately to the south of your arrival point, which also has a couple of gift shops and things of that nature, there is the terminal for the cable car, which itself also has a gift shop and a coffee place and a sandwich place. Everything's geared up for that kind of thing. If you literally walk west instead of south, you will walk into the edges of the forest, and it is crisscrossed with trails that have been designed but in naturalistic ways. They follow curves and banks and angles and river lines and what have you. It's very clearly designed to be as natural as they can make it.
Surprisingly, it's Soraya that turns to the rest of the group and says, look, can we just spend 5 minutes in this forest? Can we just be quietly? Can we just can we just spend 5 minutes in amongst this nature, please? I really, really need this. And she immediately, without listening to what they've got to say, she wanders off. You know.
Okay.
She's a girl that spent a lot of time in space, quite frankly, through her job. And, you know, we've not, anywhere we've been that's been natural, we've either been running for our lives or trying to kill a local leader. So there's very little chance to. So she's immediately on it, you know, her hands running across the bark, feeling the bark, breathing in deeply, you know, feeling the mossy ground, just, you know, not saying anything, trying to cut out our ears and just communing with nature, I guess, just for a few minutes.
Yeah. The environment is very, it's quite busy in terms of people wandering around enjoying the forest. But because of the way it is crisscrossed by so many paths and little glades and dells and corners, there is plenty of room. You're constantly aware of there being people. You can hear them, you can see them as they cross the path in front of you or walk in a different direction. But they spread out quite rapidly to explore all of the corners of the forest. And in doing so, they naturally pass you and give you a nod or a smile as they do, but you don't feel like you're surrounded by people because you can't see that far in a forest. There are probably a lot of people enjoying the forest, but at any given time, if you looked all the way around you, you'd probably only see half a dozen of them, if you see what I mean. It does feel like you are getting a little bit of nature and freedom and even isolation, a little bit.
Stefan probably goes to follow, and then notices that, you know, she's having a bit of a moment and lets her be peaceful in the forest and just waits outside.
Okay. You don't want to go into the forest as well and have a wander on your own?
Stefan won't. Agnar certainly will. He's very giddy, I think, at this point. So he'll, you know, just be jauntily walking around, taking it all in, I suppose.
Well, Rose stays very close to Kara.
Yeah, Kara will head into the forest to walk around with her, I guess, and sort of touch the leaves and that sort of stuff.
And Rick wanders in as if he's going to sort of explore a bit, but almost immediately becomes obsessed with, you know, that tree or that shrub.
It's that tree.
Yeah, and he barely gets into the edge before he's starting to focus too much on one thing here and there rather than the whole experience.
Like he can't see the forest through the trees.
Yes, literally that kind of thing.
Bless him. I think the last time we took him off the ship was in game time. It must have been about 6 weeks ago or something.
Squidlings.
Yeah, and that was dealing with squidlings.
Is that the last time?
Yeah. Oh, bless him. He must be loving it.
Yeah, he is enjoying himself. Now, for those of your characters who've travelled a little bit, you will notice a couple of things about it. Mostly that there's nothing, there's no animals seemingly.
Are there any employees around in the forest? Is there anybody with, you know, that clearly works for Earth Park?
Roll a survival with intellect.
Yep. It'll be a straight roll again. That's a 6.
Not that you can tell.
Okay. Agnar will carry on walking around then, I suppose. Keeping an eye out for any animals. He finds it quite hard to imagine. Such a fragrant place with no living creatures other than the plant life and the tourists.
Yes, the tourists appear to be the only animals that he can see.
Certainly from his perspective.
Absolutely. Yes. So, I mean, all of the tourists, as far as you can tell, are mammalian, for example. Yes, it is a lovely and pleasant time, and there don't appear to be any animals. There doesn't appear to be anything venomous or dangerous or anything like that. It just seems to be a forest. But as you progress through it, you do see the occasional sign, deliberately designed to be sort of rustic, that points to direct people to a performance area to the north of the forest.
Cara will tug at Rose's hands and say, "Do you wanna come watch this? Should we see what's going on?"
Yeah, that. Okay.
Go on, sort of drags her by the hand slightly towards the sign. Sort of shout. She doesn't want to. You know that when you're in a forest, you want to get something. You don't want to shout. It's it's almost like a library shout. Agnar,
Yes.
Agnar. Sort of, knowing that Sarai's gone with the fairies. Do you know? So she'll turn around. Agnar, do you want to pointing at the sign? Do you want to come?
He'll acknowledge and wander over and read the sign, and yeah, let's see what this is all about.
Okay. To the north of the forest, on a sort of extended area of the peak, there's a plateau which has not been covered in trees, and it has dotted across it a number of open performance spaces. It's also got a couple of restaurants and cafe type places and bars that are available to serve food and drink. At various times of day, based on a schedule that's up as you enter the performance space, there are different kinds of cultural performances, harking back to the history of Earth. And these are performed on different stages. There are a total of 5 open performance stages. 2 of them appear to be occupied at the moment. One by a small group of people performing at this point you can't hear them, but there's some laughter coming from the people in front of the stage. And another appears to be somebody doing what you might call circus tricks, balancing and tumbling and acrobatics, which has also drawn a small crowd.
Cara will drag Rose towards the comedy area, I guess.
Okay. The group are performing like a series of sketches, which are the funniest pieces of all of Shakespeare's comedies, run end to end.
Very nice. Sorry, go on.
So each one is kind of done like a sketch show, and each performer, when they come on, they are carrying a little sign that they hold up, which is the name of their character, because the same group of people are playing wildly different characters for each sketch. So they're each picking up a sign which says, I'm playing this character, and then they deliver the lines of that character. And then a few moments later, they all go and put their signs down and pick up the next sign and come out and do something else. There are occasional moments of unintentional humor where somebody's picked up the wrong sign and they have to sort of go and look for the right one. But for the most part, they're not doing a bad job, and they are doing, they're performing with gusto. They're doing enough of the physical side of it that even if people aren't necessarily following all of the nuances, because of the way people hit the volume at the right time or throw their chest out at the right time, people kind of know when they're supposed to laugh, and the audience are up for it. They're having a nice day.
Cara will kind of try and do sort of gentle show-offs to Rose as it's going on. Like from when she was at her university, doing her studying art and that, she'd have studied, I guess, the greatest, because it'd only been of some of the writers and sort of visual things from a very big snapshot. So she knows about 4 of the characters, I guess. So whenever a character she does know comes, I know, she'll be like, I know him, he's very funny. But she can only do it like a few times, but she's trying to like pick up her part, I guess. Oh yeah, he's amazing. Oh, don't know this book. Oh yeah, a bit like that. Oh, this guy, yeah, this. And once or twice, maybe she knows the quote, so she'll sort of try and jokingly speak along to the quote in Rose's ear a little bit to sort of,
Okay.
But she's no expert. She's just picked up enough to sort of bumble her way through a little bit, I guess.
Roll a persuade with your choice of int or social.
Oh yes. Oh. We're talking my skills here. So it's a +4.
Wow.
I should be all right. I've hit my third 8 of the night. A different way of rolling 8 every time. 12.
Rose is as captivated by your description as she is by the performance.
Cool. That's fine. They just want to sit and just watch it for a little bit, I guess, and have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a chill out time.
The around the area, the sort of restaurant and cafe things are doing what you might call street food if it was actually in a street, but open air dining, and these are again authentic Earth cuisine. Much of which
are we saying authentic?
Oh yes, absolutely authentic. Yes. Yes, not necessarily in terms of the ingredients. If you see what I mean, they don't necessarily have the authentic plant or the authentic animal, but they do kind of aim for the authentic style. So you get curries, but made of meat from a planet 400 light years from Earth.
The presentation is there. But
yeah. There are cottage pies that might actually be made of actual cottage.
And you don't want a hot dog.
It's that kind of thing. Yeah.
Agnar definitely doesn't.
Yeah, it is that sort of thing. They are trying to give a flavour of Earth, but the fact is practically nobody who is here ever will have been to Earth, and the Earth that they're trying to recapture probably hasn't existed for thousands of years, or at least many hundreds. So it is not something that is going to be an authentic experience of Earth now. They've got thousands of years of Earth history to choose from, and so and what they've gone with is, we'll have a barbecue pit, we'll have some spicy food with rice, we'll, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
But they're trying their best.
Agnar will see the two ladies having a moment, or Cara trying to show a nice, relaxing, peaceful time, and he'll say, do you guys want anything? I'm gonna get and he'll look around and he'll pick probably the furthest away stool and say, I'm gonna get one of those.
Right. The furthest one, which will be by effectively an unoccupied stage, will be essentially a barbecue. They will have that furthest away, so the smoke is least likely to bother the other parts of the experience.
Yeah. He'll say, "Oh, do you want anything from the barbecue?"
Carver shakes her head quite quickly. She's quite hungry. So yes.
Yes,
Please.
Rose is definitely up for something. I mean, anything. She wants to experience stuff.
Wonderful. Anything in particular, or should I just get a selection and we can all just...
Selection sounds good. Selection sounds great.
Yeah.
Perfect. He'll head over and he'll let them have some time laughing and enjoying themselves and come back with some food at some point.
Okay. Yeah, it won't take long. The place is geared up to deliver fast service, and it is commodity food. It's also free. It doesn't cost any money to get food here.
Oh, the season
Those
passes
yearly
are paying
passes.
off. Worth a thousand.
It's a theme park. So and the way they run it, once you're inside, everything's free.
Lovely. Very nice.
Worth every credit.
Agnar gets a little smile on his face when he gets to the front of the queue and realises there's no charge.
Well, apart from the 6,000 you paid to get in.
Yeah, he can recuperate that in meals.
He's a big eater.
Who knows?
Yeah, provided you came every day and ate all of your meals here, you'd probably do more than break even on that.
Yeah, he gets to the front of the queue and he suddenly thinks to himself, and addresses the person. He places his order, and as he's making small talk, he says, "You know what? We bought the yearly passes, but it never actually occurred to me to ask how many days are there in a year here, and it better be more than 10."
Oh, that's right.
It's a fair question. It's not actually a real year. It's a standard year.
Right. Okay.
So it's the year you're used to.
Yeah. Okay. Across
pretty much all systems.
Yes. Good question.
Yeah. Worth a check though.
because effectively it's a dating system. So from the same date to the same date a year later, it's actually based on the Villani calendar. So it's not actually an Earth year. I think in Earth days it's something like 275 days or a bit more than that. But it's a decent chunk of time.
Yeah, sure. I imagine he was probably reading the small print on his ticket on the walk up just to see if it was on there. to confirm that that's the year they're talking about, It
is, but to be fair, it would also be what you would assume, because the galaxy runs on those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were on Mercury in our solar system, Mercury's day lasts 2 years, or 2 of Mercury's years.
Yeah, longer than the year. Yeah,
longer than
So you do get these weird things. But if you did have a settlement on Mercury and you needed to, have a date and a time for a meeting, I'm sure they would actually use whatever the date and time is for a time zone on Earth.
Yes. Yeah. But you could very much imagine that if this was a shady operation, they could have picked a planet that has 7 days in a year and offered an annual pass. And then in the small print somewhere, there would have been works on actual year, not standardized date system. No refunds.
They probably could have. Yes. Yeah.
You're thinking of Black Sun again with their shady ways.
Well,
they appear, as far as you can tell, to be more concerned about their reputation than that.
Yeah. Return custom.
Yeah. They want people to come away happy and tell their friends, so to speak.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, wonderful. And he'll bring back some food and pass around some whatever the barbecue offering is, some burnt ends and
it's various servings of meat and vegetables and salads and things like that. There seems to be an unusual amount of fish in the selection. It's
very nice.
Seems to be a fish heavy kind of planet, but it's meat and vegetables of one kind or another. It's all perfectly pleasant, reasonably well prepared. It's fast turnover food. It's not gourmet dining, but it's perfectly pleasant. Nothing wrong with it.
And it's free, so
can't complain.
Free.
Soraya finishes communing with nature and sort of wanders over to pick a like a skewer off the plate and a nibble, and sort of elbow bumps into Stefan, who's sort of there, and sort of looks over at all the jugglers and all that, that the second stage, and says, I reckon you could give them a run for the money, Stefan. Why don't you go see if they need? Why don't you sit there and see if they're asking for any volunteers or something like that?
Well, I mean, I'm happy to sit there. Shall we?
Yeah, go on, let's go.
Okay. Can you roll a survival check for me, please?
Oh no,
both of you.
it's not that bad. They're not throwing knives around, are they? I didn't realise that. Oh, it wasn't quite another way of rolling 8, but.
Oh no, Stefan's survival is awful.
Oh no, is it?
That is a 3 total.
Oh.
Wow, that really is awful.
Sarai's hit a 9, so she might be surviving for the both of them.
Okay. You arrive and sit down in front of this stage, and the performance, it's essentially acrobatics. There are 4 people, and what they're doing is forming various pyramids and shapes. People seem to be enjoying it, but they're a bit baffled as to why people would do that. But apparently it's something that authentically people on Earth did, therefore they're going to damn well watch it and get an authentic Earth experience, even though they have no idea why they're watching it.
Oh, I've been to places where you do that.
Yeah.
This is Hastings. You will watch this. I don't
I
care
thought
if
the
you're not interested
survival
at
roll
all.
for a minute was going to be the see if you can not make eye contact with the person that's asking for volunteers. That classic, I'm busy looking somewhere else now.
No, they are not seemingly looking for people to join in.
That doesn't mean that we can't, though.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Yeah, so I will start looking out. Is there any... I don't want to make people angry, though. It's such a lovely time. But I just want a potential Stefan to show off his dexterity skills, if that makes sense.
We'll try to.
Okay, so how would you approach that?
What can you describe to me what they're doing at the moment?
Okay, so they're going through a series of, it's acrobatics, but it seems oddly stylized. Like they're not necessarily showing off their acrobatics to their best. It appears that they've kind of got their wires crossed slightly. So every now and then there are bits that look like they should be part of a circus, but the other pair are breakdancing, or they're suddenly, for no adequately explored reason, doing push-ups or sit-ups from an exercise routine. That they've got various things that do happen on Earth, but they've kind of mixed them up a bit in a way that makes everyone wonder why they're doing what they're doing.
Things that don't make sense in the same context.
Not next to each other.
Is there like a stage manager or anything like that, or is it literally those performers?
It is those performers on stage, and it's just an open platform.
Oh.
There are people gathered.
Is there a little space to the side of the platform? Are they taking up the whole thing, or would you say would there be enough for 2 people to have a little boogie down the side?
Easily, yes.
Sarai gets a sort of a wicked glint in her eye, I guess, and grabs Stefan and says, "Come on!" and like hoiks him towards the stage. Says, "You're a man that can. I've seen you in our younger years flipping somersaults late at night after a couple of drinks. Come on, let's get involved. It looks a bit of a free fall in their style. Let's get involved."
Well, I haven't had a couple of drinks. But
You'll be even better.
I can give it a shot.
All right. Okay. Okay. Can you roll survival for me with disadvantage, please? With Bane.
Oh God.
With intellect, both of you.
Equally as bad.
Oh, yeah. I think I need to change Agnar to Stefan there. There we go. Oh yeah.
The good news is that's 4 minus 3.
Oh,
wow.
Oh no. Okay, I'm a bit better. What with a Bane, so I've got 2 4s, so that's my lowest, so that I can get rid of. And what was the other one? What were my stats to add to it?
Yeah, it's survival with intellect.
Okay, 10. My survival, I think, is a 0. Yep. Intellect's plus 1, 11.
11.
That's the biggest
okay.
roll of the night. Biggest roll of the night.
All right. So it is Soraya, isn't it? With
it is Soraya, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Soraya notices as the pair of you sort of creep around the corner of the stage and begin to step up towards it. Stefan's fairly oblivious at this point, but Soraya notices someone who just looked like they were part of the crowd and enjoying things rapidly walk towards you, and even as you're in the process of trying to step up onto the platform, he walks over and is shaking his hand like this to indicate that you shouldn't do that.
Soraya will sort of immediately throw up the unthreatening, the international sign of the intergalactic sign of unthreatening nature.
Yep.
So I said, and we'll try and say to him, loving this, my boy here studied Earth movement, and we didn't want to overshadow anything. We just loved the idea of adding to your performance for today as a special one-off, if that's okay.
Roll a persuade for me with Bane.
Oh. That dice is cold. That dice is cold as well.
And you'll need social for this one.
A social.
Persuade plus social and with Bane.
It's like you're probably picking it off. Persuade's a +1 and social's -1. Rolling a 1 on my Bane dice is not the greatest thing that's ever happened, quite frankly. The second dice is, it depends how miserable he is. I've hit a 6, +1, -1, so 6 in total. How miserable is he, Ben?
He's not enjoying having to deal with obstreperous guests, it turns out. It wasn't an impossible task, but he's not having it. Certainly not on a 6. And
fair enough, I wouldn't either on a 6.
He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a little ID chit.
Yeah.
Which identifies him as Earth Park security. And he says, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to step away from the stage." And you do notice, as you carefully check his credentials, that his credentials are from Black Sun.
As we're Stefan will walk away from the stage, but he'll say, "Look, I mean, she's telling the truth. We just wanted to enjoy ourselves and to help everyone else enjoy themselves." And he will attempt to do a front flip as he's walking away from the stage to prove his point.
Oh, I love your style.
All right, that is going to be an athletics dexterity roll.
Yeah.
So whatever your athletics is plus dexterity.
Wonderful. I do have athletics dexterity.
I was going to say, that's why I called you up. I know you've got the skills. Come on, don't let me down.
Yeah. So is it just that? It's not plus them plus
it is going to be your athletics dexterity plus your dexterity bonus.
Oh, look at that with his 12. It's a +2, +3, +4, +4. Come on.
Well, the good news is he rolled a 4. But he has +4.
Okay.
2 from dexterity and 2 from athletics.
It's what he's in the team for, front
so
flips.
He might just maybe.
Very Earth style.
A front flip is what you might call a quite ambitious task.
Yeah. Oh, I can appreciate that.
With an overall 8, it's not a humiliating failure. But but having slightly misjudged it, he kind of has to put his hand down on the ground as he goes over, otherwise he'd just land on his face. So it becomes more of a hand, a walkover kind of thing rather than an actual flip.
Sure.
And it's a bit clumsy, and he lands it, but it's
He'll
not.
try and style it out a little bit with a
it's not the elegant punctuation to the conversation he was looking for.
But he doesn't face plant.
But he doesn't face plant.
That's the important thing.
The security guard looks at the pair of you and says, "I'm sure you're just looking to have a good time, but you're going to have to do so away from the stage."
So I will grab Stefan and say, then we will. Let's go and have fun away from the stage.
Is there an empty stage?
Yes, exactly.
There are 3 empty stages, yes.
Oh.
To the empty stage.
Can Stefan ask him and just say, can we utilize one of these areas which isn't being used for a performance? And he'll gesture generally to the area, including the stages and everything around it, I suppose.
Roll a persuade plus social.
Oh, why Stefan?
Yeah, why did he ask?
Warm these ones up.
He can't have a negative on persuade though, because he's a decent talker,
No,
right?
yeah, his persuade is 1, his social is 0. So
Yeah.
But he failed with a +4. No, he rolled an 8 now.
I see.
Okay.
But he failed on the +4 roll, so +1. Who knows?
That's true. So 9 in total.
Okay.
Better
9
roll
total.
Yeah.
The guard is, I think it's fair to say, beginning to lose a bit of patience with how long this conversation is going on.
Sure.
So he shakes his head firmly and he says, "Please stay off the stages. I don't want to have to remove you."
Stefan says, "Okay. We'll just go hang out on the grass. I assume it's a grassy sort of surrounding."
The open area is a mixture of paths, grassy areas. The occasional sort of border and bush. They've tried to. It's open, but they've tried to use natural things to kind of control the flow of people around the place.
Yeah.
So it's not just one big open flat area. There are marked paths, but they're marked by bushes and borders rather than painted lines or anything.
Yeah. Okay. He'll say, "Well, we don't want to make your job any harder. We'll just go hang out on the grass over there. We're sorry for any inconvenience we might have caused you."
Can both of you roll for me a survival with intellect, please?
Damn it, Stefan, and your survival.
Stefan, he's the wrong man for the job. You better do something good, mate.
It's a 7 -3.
I've hit a 6.
Okay, right, fair enough. Okay, you head back towards the others.
And I guess as they go, Sorrel will sort of be sniggering and trying to hold in quite heavy laughter into Stefan's arm. I guess as they go. It's okay. You stacked it. It's okay. Right, come on, the day's still early. Let's we got a lot to explore. Let's grab the others and let's see what else Earth Park has to offer.
Okay. So as you leave the relatively open, though still slightly landscaped performance area, and the open food area there, and you stroll back into one of the many paths that cut through the forest, we'll call it there.
Fantastic.
As you re-enter the fragrant forest.
Can I just quickly, as they wander off, can Stefan just hang back by himself a little bit? And when they're sort of round a corner or out of sight, can he try a front flip by himself? Just to prove it to himself. That he's
Absolutely can.
Come on, please roll.
So that's dexterity plus athletics dexterity.
Wonderful. Of course. He rolls an 8 plus 4 is 12.
Is
12.
He lands it right on the balls of his feet. It's perfect.
He smiles to himself a little bit and struts off with a bit of, I knew it, kind of attitude.
Sarai, who saw nothing.
That nobody else saw.
Sarai, that saw nothing. So, come on, hurry up. We're waiting.
Not even an animal in the trees to notice.
No, clearly, yeah. But he knows.
Yeah, that is a perfect moment to break it for tonight.
Thank you, everyone that's watched to the end of a very chill and relaxed edition.
Yeah.
The perfect one, I think. It was exactly what was needed, I felt. And thank you. And have a wonderful Easter, everyone. And we will see you again next Thursday for a chat and next Friday for our next playthrough. Thank you very much, and have a lovely weekend, and good night.
Good night.